afternoon, students. Welcome back to advanced level biology. Today we are going to look at our lesson 4, because in our previous lesson we were looking at different cell organelles in our advanced level biology. And now today we are going to look at the nucleus as a cell organelle. What comprises of the nucleus? How does it work? What are its parts? We are going to see all of that one in today's video. And now, this is Study Online Uganda. If it is your first time onto this YouTube channel, kindly click on the subscribe button so that you can be notified of all that we always upload. So now, let us look at the nucleus. The nucleus is found in all eukaryotic cells. So remember that we have two types of cells. We have eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells are the ones that have the nucleus, whereas the prokaryotic cells are the ones which don't have the nucleus. However, in mature form, mature red blood cells and sieve tubes, the nucleus is not there. Also, the cells, they contain one nucleus, except the paramecium, which contains two. For the case of the paramecium, it has the micronucleus and the meganucleus, but otherwise all other cells, they contain they contain only one nucleus. And I think in your O level you must have looked at the paramecium. And also some white blood cells, they have more than one nucleus. So some white blood cells have more than one nucleus, but it is very rare. It is not common to most white blood cells. And the nucleus is the largest organelle in the plant, so in all cells. So the largest organelle, the ones which we looked at, the chloroplast, which we looked at in the previous video, all of those ones, they are smaller if you compare them with the nucleus. So we are saying the cells, they usually contain only one nucleus. Some white blood cells, they have more than one, and also the nucleus is the largest organelle in cells. So now, let us have the structure of the nucleus. So now, the structure of the nucleus contains very many parts, and among them we have the nuclear pore. So now, this nuclear pore, we shall see its function. We have the nucleoplast as also a part. We have the nucleolus, the other one that is more deep black. We also have the chromatin. We shall see what does it contain. We have the nuclear envelope. So those are some of the parts of the nucleus. So now, having looked at the structure of the nucleus, now we are going to look at the description of the structures found in the nucleus. These structures which you have seen in the nucleus, what do they do? What is their function? And now we are going to start with the nuclear envelope and the nuclear pore. The nuclear envelope and the nuclear pore. As you saw from the diagram, we have the nuclear pore and then the nuclear envelope. So now, what are their functions? What do they do in the cell? That is what we are going to look at. So the nuclear envelope is a double membrane. The nuclear envelope is a double membrane, as we have seen in the diagram. And the outer membrane is continuous with endoplasmic reticulum. So on the nuclear envelope, the outer membrane, has the endoplasmic reticulum, and it is also covered with ribosomes which carry out protein synthesis. So on the outer membrane of the nuclear envelope, it contains the endoplasmic reticulum, whose main function is to carry out protein synthesis, as we looked at in the previous videos. For the case of the inner membrane, it is smooth and it lacks ribosomes. So for it is smooth and lacks ribosomes. So that is the nuclear envelope. It has two membranes. The inner membrane, it is smooth and lacks ribosomes, whereas the outer membrane, it has endoplasmic reticulum, and therefore it contains ribosomes which manufacture proteins. So now, let us have this note. The nuclear envelope is perforated by nuclear pores which allow exchange of materials between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. So now, this nuclear envelope which we have been looking at is perforated, meaning it has holes. And now, these holes, the ones which we are calling the nuclear pores. And these nuclear pores, their main function is to allow the exchange of materials between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. So it is a means by which substances enter or leave the nucleus through the nuclear pores. So it is perforated. It has holes within it. So now, what are some of the materials that pass out of the nucleus? Because when they are passing out, they have to pass through the nuclear pore. What are some of them? So the first one, we have the mRNA. We have the newly made ribosomes, and we also have the hormones. So all of these ones, they are synthesized within the nucleus. So this mRNA is called messenger RNA, and the RNA stands for ribonucleic acid. We are going to know this one more in details when we are studying chemicals of life in our lessons. So also the newly made ribosomes, they are also passed out of the nucleus through the nuclear pore, and even the hormones. So now, what are the materials which enter into the nucleus? So the materials which enter, they also pass through the nuclear pore, just as the materials that move out. So what are the materials which enter into the nucleus? The first one, we have the raw materials for making messenger RNA. So we have raw materials for making messenger RNA. Those ones, they also, because messenger RNA is manufactured in the nucleus. Now those raw materials which are needed, also they enter through the nucleus through the nuclear pore. We also have deoxyribonucleic acid. So this deoxyribonucleic acid, it also does what? It also enters into the nucleus. And we have the ribosome. The ribosomes, for them, they are responsible for protein synthesis. So they also enter into the nucleus. So there are very many materials, but those are basically the major ones that enter. The ribosomes for protein synthesis, the DNA which contains the genetic material, and the raw materials for making messenger RNA. Now, another part of the nucleus is the nucleoplasm. So now, the nucleoplasm, as you have seen on the diagram, from the diagram of the nucleoplasm, it is this one. The nucleoplasm, as you can see from this diagram, it is here. So it is this part here inside. These parts inside the nucleus. It is the one which we are calling the nucleoplasm. And now we want to look at this nucleoplasm. What does it do? So now, the nucleoplasm, for the case of the nucleoplasm, what it does, it contains structures, very many structures, and these structures include nucleic acids, e.g., DNA and RNA. So as you have seen from the diagram, this nucleoplasm is the other fluid-like structure found within the nucleus. So it contains nucleic acids such as DNA and RNA. It also contains the chromatin material, the one which we saw inside, the one which we can call the chromosomes, which contain a protein known as histone, and contain coils of DNA. So now it contains that histone is just a protein that covers it on its top, and it contains coils of DNA. It also has the lipids. So it contains also the lipids and the enzymes such as those necessary for synthesis of DNA. So this nucleoplasm, the fluid-like structure, is very important because it contains the DNA, it contains enzymes that will synthesize this DNA, it contains the lipids, it contains even the chromatin. Not only that, but also ions such as potassium, calcium, sodium, phosphate, etc. So that is the nucleoplasm. Now let us come to look at the nucleolus. There's a black thing which we saw within the nucleus that is found in the nucleoplasm. Now this one is a rounded dark stained structure inside the nucleus, as I have told you. And a cell may contain more than one nucleolus. So depending on the cell, it can contain more than one. And the large amount of DNA and RNA contained in the nucleolus makes it dark stained, and the major function of the nucleolus is to synthesize ribosomes. So it contains large amount of DNA, which is deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid. So because they are in large amount, that's why it becomes black. So it is dark stained. And it also its major function of the nucleolus is to synthesize ribosomes. So that is its major function. Now, having looked at the nucleus, we have seen its parts, what they do, importance of each part. Now, what are the functions of the nucleus? The first one is that it contains the genetic material of the cell in form of chromosomes. So now it contains the genetic material of the cell, which is in the form of chromosomes, and these are the ones which determine the characteristics of the offsprings during fertilization. It also acts as a center for all activities in the cell. Every activity that is going to be made in the cell, it is the nucleus that it controls all of those activities which must take place within the cell. It carries instructions for protein synthesis in nuclear DNA. So it carries instructions for protein synthesis. How should the protein be synthesized? Another function is that it is involved in the ribosome and RNA production. So the production of DNA and the production of RNA and ribosome, it is the nucleus that is involved. Now lastly, it is involved in cell division. So during the process of cell division, the nucleus is also involved in that process. So those are some of the functions of the nucleus. What are the functions of the nuclear envelope? The one which we saw, the other nuclear envelope which you have been seeing. What is its function? So now the nuclear envelope, it forms a barrier which separates the cytoplasm from the nucleoplasm. So you know a cell has the cytoplasm, the other big one which contains very many structures, but the nucleus has the nucleoplasm. So it is this nuclear envelope that separates the nucleoplasm from the cytoplasm. Hope they were together. It also allows exchange of materials between the cytoplasm and the nucleoplasm. So it allows exchange of materials, as we saw the things which come in and the ones which move out. So it is by the control of the nuclear envelope. It also provides a surface for attachment of structures such as the ribosomes and endoplasmic reticulum. So it provides a surface for attachment of structures such as the ribosomes and the endoplasmic reticulum. So you find when they are attached there at the nuclear envelope, and they are also important in protein synthesis. And now it provides a surface for attachment of the chromatin material. So we saw the chromatin material. So to provide the surface for attachment of the chromatin material. Now, we have now looked at the what? At the nucleus. We have seen the structure of the nucleus, where the nucleus is found. We have seen the paramecium, which contains two nuclei. We have seen the parts of the nucleus, the nucleoplasm, the nuclear envelope. We have seen the nucleolus. We have seen the functions of the nucleus. And you have also seen the functions of the nuclear envelope. So now, having looked at all of these things, we are going to look at another cell organelle called the microbodies. The one that is called peroxisomes. So now, these microbodies, they are small spherical bodies and they have no internal structures. So, for them, they don't have internal structures. They are just very small spherical bodies which are also found in the cell. And they contain a number of metabolically important enzymes such as the catalase enzyme, which catalyzes the breakdown of hydrogen peroxide. So they contain a number of enzymes, and those enzymes, they, like the enzyme catalase, it catalyzes the breakdown of hydrogen peroxide, because hydrogen peroxide is a toxic byproduct of many biochemical reactions within an organism. So it is always being produced. So because it is being produced, the catalase enzyme, it breaks it down because it is toxic. So it breaks it down. And also the microbodies, they are abundant in most active cells such as the liver cells, because these liver cells which are always active are the ones which produce this hydrogen peroxide, which is a toxic byproduct, and that's why it is found in these active cells. So today we have looked at very many things. We have seen the nucleus, we have seen the microbodies. So we have other cell organelles which we shall look at in our coming lesson 5. If you are new to this YouTube channel, click on subscribe button so that you can get all our videos which we upload. And also, do not forget do not miss our lesson 5, which will discuss more and more cell organelles like the cell surface membrane. So subscribe so that you can get all of these things.